everybody. I hope that you guys are keeping well. It's a little bit nippy in Joburg, but wherever in the country you're joining us from, we are sending you warm welcome. My name is Zizo Tshwete, and I'm going to be playing the role of mommy today. You may know me in a different capacity, but this is the only role that matters today. Before we settle in, you guys, I'd love for you to participate in our poll. I'm going to orientate you in terms of how we can get involved because today is all about you. There's just a tab at the bottom over there. You'll see ask a question. I'll tell you about that in a bit. The next one should say poll. If you click on that, we'd really love to hear your answers on our poll question, and I'll explain to you what that is about a little bit later. So today we're all about giving our immunity a fighting chance, and this webinar I really believe is going to have information that is important to all of us in our homes, because I'm certain that as we join it, we are looking for information that's going to empower us to be able to make the right decisions in making sure that we keep our family's immunity nice and strong. I'm going to welcome some friends who I can see have joined the chat here. Okuhle, Carol, Leonard, Taryn, Soraya, and Carol. Hello, you guys. I see that they've already found how that they can jump onto our chat over here. Right, a few rules before we settle in, you guys. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see a number of tabs. The first one says ask a question. We'd love for you to ask your question so that you walk away after today's webinar knowing exactly what it is that you need to do in your homes to take care not only of your little ones, but as well your family, keeping them strong every day. What we will be doing as well is having a panel that's going to moderate the best, most valuable and exciting questions, and one lucky winner is going to walk away with a Garmin Forerunner. Now, I've done a bit of research, and apparently it's one of the coolest gadgets in the game, and it's starting to warm up a bit, so I'm sure you'll be able to clock in some nice kilometers on the road with that nice one. So please make sure that you get your questions in nice and early. Right, the next tab, like I've explained, is the poll. Please make sure you go and answer. Very quick question. It's one click and Bob's your uncle. And then a little further to the right, it says say something nice. So we'd love some positive encouragement. We're all learning and teaching each other here. So anything that you hear from our presentation that is of value to you, just drop a note and give us that encouragement. And by the end of today's webinar, we will be certain to have the information to you. So with that, all the presentations that happened today, the additional meal plans, as well as the educational tools will be available to you via a link at the end of our conversation. So let me tell you about my boss, you guys. You would think that he would be older than 4, but not just yet. His name is VK. And I'm here today to make sure that I'm going to learn how I can do some practical things, some exciting things, and some fun things to help him understand that it's important to keep his immunity strong every day. And I'm sure that with your participation here today, you're here to gather that exact information for your loved ones as well. So I don't know what your setup is in your home, but in ours, PJ masks are the coolest thing. So every time we try and do something fun or new or different, we try and encourage him in order to get the super gecko muscles. He has to eat his strong food. So let's share. What do you do with your kids? What works? Because there's a bunch of moms and dads and caregivers that are joining us here today. And thank you so much for your attendance. So let me not be long. Like I said, you'll be able to access the material a little bit later, and make sure you pop in through to the poll to answer our question. Now, it is a really, really simple one. And sometimes we get caught up in all the messages that we receive, either from other parents or sources that we're reading or content that's in our space that tells us, no, you must get this vitamin, get that supplement, make sure your baby is eating this. But are we really hitting the mark? Are we sure which food groups or how much of each food group to be giving our kids? Fear not. I've called in some reinforcements today. A lady who's done all the hard work for us and has been kind enough to say she is going to share everything that she has learned, having worked extensively with lots of families looking for the same solutions as us. How do we give our kids the healthiest possible solutions to make sure that their immunity stays strong every single day? So I thought I was going to jump on the polls right now, but maybe we'll come back to that a little bit later so that we get those results. But what is our registered dietitian going to walk us through today? 3 simple things. 1, natural ways that we can start to include helpful solutions to our kids and our families. 2, it's going to be practical as well, because I know a lot of us wear so many different hats. You're running from this thing to that thing to that thing. So our kitchen life needs to be just as simple and easy as well. And then the third thing, of course, which especially in this time is a concern for many of us, is it cost effective? Monique is definitely going to tick those 3 boxes for us, and we're going to walk away knowing exactly what we need to do in our homes. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to who I'm going to say is our registered dietitian, our go-to girl, our hookup for the day. She has worked extensively with families that are looking for healthy solutions. Like I say, she is driven by passion, and that has led her down many purposeful paths. And I love that she says purposeful in her introduction, because it means we are in very safe hands. All right. Not only is she completing her PhD at the University of Pretoria, but I'm going to co-sign this one. She says that her greatest accomplishment is being a mama to little Joshua, who's a little over a year. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me as we welcome into our chat today our registered pediatrician, Monique Piderit.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for having me. Really looking forward to joining in on this talk today and talking all things immunity. Very topical. Everyone's trying to get their way around being as healthy as possible at the moment. So as Zizo said, I am mom to little 13-month-old, and what was interesting for me is the practical side of things had to join in on the professional side. And when it comes to this time, the reality is we are living in uncertain times. Now, more than ever, parents and caregivers want to protect their families' immune systems as much as possible. Financial pressures are mounting, and we need to really make better and more informed choices when it comes to healthy shopping purchases. We've seen huge differences in the trends of shopping choices and how we've adapted over this time. There's been panic and bulk buying, where people are stockpiling vitamins, minerals, medicines, and food. And if we compare to this time last year, there's almost a 60% increase in this so-called healthy shopping basket. In other words, the kind of healthy foods that we're buying. Worldwide, 1 in 3 consumers have reported that they are eating more foods to support their immune system. But in doing all of this, how do we even know that it's the right thing? So, don't fear, today we will learn a bit more about the immune system. We will understand how it works and discuss a few of the nutrients and vitamins that support a healthy immune system. And of course, the practical side of things is always the important part as moms. We got to make this happen, so I'm going to help you make healthy happen and show you what your healthy shopping trolley and basket should look like. And we've also got a lovely immune supporting meal plan to give you ideas about snacks and meals. So let's understand this immune system. I want you to think of the immune system like an army of soldiers that is always ready and on standby to make sure that they defend their battlefield. The immune system is our body's natural defense, working 24/7 without us even realizing it in order to protect us from diseases and infections caused by bacteria, viruses, and other disease-causing germs. Now, just as an army would have tools like rifles and grenades and tanks to help it work, the immune system has white blood cells, proteins, tissues, and organs which back it up should any intruder get into the body. Now, there's various ways that we can support our immune system, and we do that with vitamins and minerals. Collectively, we call them nutrients. And nutrients support our immune system for healthy and optimal functioning. A varied and a balanced diet is the way that we get these nutrients in for healthy functioning of the immune system. No one food or one nutrient is best, and a combination of all of them is what we want to aim for. It's also important to focus on foods to meet these nutrient needs. Supplements can get expensive, and they also don't come with the host of other goodness that we get out of the whole food. For example, fiber when you eat a whole fruit. Let's have a look at a few key nutrients related to the immune system. So the first one is vitamin A. Vitamin A is involved in the skin, and we don't really think about it, but the skin is the body's first line of defense in preventing invading bacteria, viruses, and other germs. We know that in South Africa, 4 in 10 children under 5 suffer from a vitamin A deficiency. And this is concerning because this will affect growth and development and also weaken the immune system. Beef liver and chicken livers are a really cost-effective way of getting in some vitamin A. And vegetables like carrots, butternut, and sweet potato contain beta-carotene, which the body then converts into vitamin A. So make sure you get these into your family's diet. Sneak in some carrots into curries and stews, put liver on the menu a few times a month, and things like sweet potato, offering these up as part of the vegetables for the evening. Next is vitamin C, and this is one we all know is involved in the immune system. Vitamin C is also helpful in protecting our body cells from damage, and again involved in the normal functioning of the skin, like vitamin A. The body can't make or store vitamin C, which means that we need to eat this regularly. We find vitamin C in fruits and vegetables, but here's the concern. We know from data that South African children don't eat enough fruits and vegetables. At the moment, with the winter months and immune supporting fruits available, like your nachos and oranges, it's a nice way, that's a cost-effective way also to get in these foods into the lunch boxes. And other fruits are things like mangoes, strawberries, kiwis, and pawpaw. Veggie-wise, broccoli and sweet peppers, all the colours, also contain some vitamin C, so make sure that the family has some of these throughout the week. Vitamin D also contributes to the normal functioning of the skin. And in fact, there's really new research to show that vitamin D may lower the risk of some viral infections and even the common cold. Vitamin D we sometimes call the sunshine vitamin. This is because our skin is able to make vitamin D when exposed to sunlight. We need to expose ourselves to sunlight about 3 times a week for 15 minutes without clothes and without some sunscreen. We also get vitamin D through some foods. Things like tinned fish are a good vitamin D source, especially if you eat it with the bones, because that's where some of the vitamin D is. And mushrooms also contain vitamin D. But how interesting is this? If you put your mushrooms in the sun, you can actually increase the vitamin D content by 10 to 30 times. So that's a nice winner. Mineral-wise, we know that zinc is an essential mineral that the body cannot make and store. For this reason, we need to consume it on a regular basis. The vitamin C is involved in the immune system, in wound healing, and also in normal growth and development. And this is for children, for teenagers, and also for pregnant women. The problem is when we don't get in enough zinc, it can then affect the immune system, weakening it, causes poor wound healing, and stunts the growth and development. Here's some really interesting and concerning stats about zinc. 2 billion people around the world are thought to be at risk of a vitamin D deficiency. We also know that children under the age of 5, there is 800,000 deaths each year that are related to a zinc deficiency. This is mostly attributed to diarrhea, malaria, and pneumonia. But closer to home, in South Africa, 1 in 2 children are at risk of a zinc deficiency. There are a few affordable sources of foods that contain zinc. So 1.7 milligrams of zinc is the amount of zinc needed per serving of a food for it to count as being called a source of zinc. This graph shows us the various foods that we need to eat and the costs. So for example, if we eat 170 grams of kidney beans, it'll cost us about 10 Rand 79 and give us 1.7 milligrams of zinc. But look at beef. If we eat only 21 grams of beef, costing 1 Rand 67, it'll give us 1.7 milligrams of zinc. In these tough economic times, it's really quite important for us to focus on the more affordable sources of zinc. Beef, baked beans, porridge, NutriDay with added zinc, and chicken are all good examples. Other examples of foods that contain zinc include cereals, milk, chickpeas, cheese, and peas. So include these when you do a grocery shop. It's really nice to know that NutriDay packs quite a powerful punch if you consider that it includes the nutrients and vitamins we've spoken about, like vitamin A, zinc, and vitamin D. We also know that children who eat yogurt regularly tend to be healthier. They tend to eat more milk, they eat more fruits and whole grains, and as a result, take in more nutrients like calcium, vitamin D, and potassium. We also know that children who eat yogurt regularly have better weights. Now, for those moms who are worried that yogurt has a lot of sugar, don't be. 1 small tub of NutriDay yogurt contains roughly a teaspoon of sugar. Now, this isn't really a lot if you consider that sweets, chocolates, sugary drinks make up 60% of the added sugar that goes into a child's diet. Also, remember that the yogurt comes with quite a mix of added nutrients known to affect our children and be deficient in children, like vitamin A and zinc. So, if you then consider that other less healthy snacks that we give our children, like sports drinks, fizzy drinks, iced teas, biscuits, the jam that goes on toast, and chocolates and jelly sweets have quite a bit more sugar, it's clear to see that yogurt, whether it is sweetened or not, full cream or low fat, will be a good choice as an option for your child. So, with all of this in mind, I want to ask you, what does your current shopping basket look like? How can we make it healthier to give your immunity a fighting chance? How do we add more vitamin A rich foods, vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc? I'd like to encourage you to pick up your phones right now and take a photo of the screen and use this as a really handy guide next time you go shopping to fill up your grocery cupboard with more of the immune supporting foods. So don't forget to have a look at Danon's website for an immune supporting meal plan, and I really hope that this has helped you feel a little more confident in the choices you're making as a family to support your immunity.
I'm going to go ahead and ask this question before we open it up to some of yours that you guys are posting up on this chat as well. Monique, we often tend to forget when it comes to the desserts, because my baby has a sweet tooth. What are my options in order to provide a healthier option for him, but he can still have something that he enjoys as a dessert?
Well, of course, we're looking for the sweet satisfaction. So the natural sweetness of fruit can come in quite nicely, as can some yogurt. So a really nice, cool thing that I found on Pinterest once is if you take a tub of yogurt and a little wooden stick or even just a plastic spoon and jab it in and freeze it like that. And then when it's frozen, you can pull it out and then it's a nice lolly. You can do this yourself at home and just blend some fruits and yogurts together and put into a little lolly container. That's a nice way to do it. And don't be scared to also add some flavors. My little guy loves is I blend some double cream yogurt with dates and banana, or banana and cocoa powder, and it's a nice little chocolatey dessert that he can eat.
Oh, that sounds fabulous. Visa is asking here, how do I introduce new foods to my 2.5-year-old daughter? That can be a challenge because I've often heard, yucky, yucky, mommy. I think Visa and I are in the same boat here.
Yeah, very true. So I think the first thing to know for parents is patience. Something sometimes we don't have. The research has shown that it takes up to 15 exposures of a new food before a child likes it. And we put the broccoli on the plate once and he kicks it off and we are done. So you got to try up to 15 times. A good tip, always offer a new food with a favorite food. So put the carrots on the plate with the broccoli, and it's about desensitizing our children to these foods. So do it often. The first few times it might get ignored or kicked off the plate. The 5th time you might get a smell. By the 7th time, see if he'll lick it or even just bite it a little bit. So constant exposure is really the way to go.
Right, so I'm definitely learning that, and I think Natasha is as well. She says 15 exposures. Wow, I also did not know that. So thank you so much. Leanne says, how do I know if my child has a nutrition deficiency? Or a nutrient, rather. Let me read that correctly. Yes, how do I know if my child has a nutrient deficiency?
Oh, this is a tough one. If you have the resources to do so, visit a dietitian or chat with a nurse and let them have a look at the diet and see how varied it is. But there's a couple of signs we can look at as a whole. For example, is your child growing? Look at the growth charts that your nursing sister or pediatrician are using to see that they're growing nicely on those growth charts. How is your child sleeping? Are they concentrating? Does any of this change over time where they were, for example, sleeping very well and now not? Or used to be quite full of energy and now isn't. It's a really tough one, but look at the signs and take it from there, and always chat to your healthcare provider to help you along the way.
Right, we're going to wrap up soon, but I really want to ask this question from Vanessa, and she says, if you're taking your daily serving of fruit, can you still accommodate the sugar in the yogurt serving, for example? I think that's a good one.
Absolutely. The World Health Organization does allow that we have extra sugar, and that comes in the form of about 10% added sugar, ideally 5%. So we can have a little bit of added sugar in our diet. For me, as a mom and as a dietitian, I encourage people to look at the bigger picture. Look at the whole diet over the week and see that 80% of it has been good, healthy foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, yogurts, and lean protein, which allows for a little bit of sugar to sneak in as treats now and then.
All right, so I'm going to ask one question, because often the responsibility is a lot on the moms, but we have an ecosystem of people who help us, the dads and the caregivers in our lives, grandparents and all the rest. But when they venture out a little bit away from mom's eye line, like sometimes they want to sneak in a bit of like some shady treats. How do we make it easy for everyone in the home to understand that building strong immunities is important for our little ones?
I think it's always important to have the discussion of what the expectation is of the parent. I know I had to do this with my own mom right from the beginning and say, look, as far as possible, I'd like him to be healthy. And what I do as a mom is I'll make sure that happens. And then if they are visiting grandparents and friends, then there is a little bit of that room for treats to sneak in as necessary.
Okay, sounds fabulous. So we're going to wrap up because we've covered a lot of ground. And I think we're going to give the winning question to Vuiseka. Should we do that? Because I think a lot of people had some concerns around introducing new foods. So Vuiseka, you are today's winner of that Garmin Forerunner that we chatted about a little earlier. Congratulations. Could I then ask you to please send your information to media inquiries at Danone, let me just double check, .com. Media inquiries at Danone.com. And we'll make sure that we arrange that you collect your prize. You guys, I hope that you have found this session very helpful. I certainly have. I'll tell you that the 15 exposures I definitely did not know about. So mommy has to put on her patient hat and keep trying. I've also learned that I've got to do a little bit of what they like with a little bit of what they're learning. And I think if it's a little bit warm this weekend, we'll do a bit of the 15 minutes in the sun. I think that's a fun way to get our kids involved. It's really been fantastic. And at this point, I also want to extend a word of gratitude to the team at Danone and NutriDay for bringing us this content that is really helpful for us to start to implement in our homes. Because what we are after is really that our kids and our families stay strong every single day. So I'm super excited. And Monique, thank you so much for your expertise, for your passion. It's really come across so strongly today. And I'm certain that everyone who's been a part of today's conversation is walking away with at least one nugget, one top tip that they're going to take away. I'll tell you for free, I'm going to try that dessert idea that you had, and I'll keep you guys posted on how it goes. I think maybe I'll chuck a bit of like shaved coconuts in the mix just to give it some texture. There we go, you guys. This information that we've discussed is going to be available on the link. You can make sure that you click through, so you've got some meal plans that will be helpful to structure for you, some educational tools as well as part of the presentation, so that your shopping baskets are looking like they should. We promised you that we would answer 3 important things: practical ways, cost-effective ways, and more natural ways for you to get your family's immune system nice and strong. And I believe that we've done that. So thank you so much, and we hope that you will have a NutriDay.